Welcome to the Motown India show. We have here with us Mr. Amit Ramani of Awfis Space Solutions, and we're going to ask him a lot of questions on his new project. Welcome to the show, Amit. It's been great having you here in the show.
Thank you for having us.
My first question is, where did you get this beautiful idea of an office on wheels?
So, PT, we currently operate about 20 different locations across India. We have Delhi, Mumbai and Bangalore. We do what we call as pro-working centers. And these co-working centers are essentially spaces where people can work from 1 hour to 11 months, right? Book it through a technology platform. So this was just an extension of that, right? And what we were looking to do essentially was make people productive on the go. So today, with all the pollution, all the traffic, all the commute times, etc., clearly this was an attempt to make sure that people are productive completely on the go.
Oh, wonderful. And I'm sure you must have taken a lot of feedback from potential clients, from friends. What's the response been like?
So the venture or the van essentially is only launched to the community members of Awfis. So if you are an Awfis member, then you can certainly book the van through our technology platform. Now, initial feedback has been very, very positive. People have booked it for various kind of uses, which I also never thought would be possible. Like, for example, one of our lawyers who works out of our Connaught Place Center booked it for a high court arbitration, which we wouldn't have thought would be a use that would be used. People use it for team meetings. People use it for drop from airport, pick up from airport, etc. So they're using it for different uses, and obviously they use it for the regular meetings as well.
Fantastic. Let's get into your van. I want to really see what you have to offer.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So Amit, as I was talking earlier about this office on wheels, and you found out a lot of innovative ideas with this business. I'm sure it's a very capital-intensive business, and it requires a lot of funding in terms of making vehicles like this. What are your broad plans for the future?
So, pretty similar to what we've done in our Awfis venture, where we partner with our partners essentially to do what we call as managed aggregation, which means that the space is somebody else's. Right? We come in and manage the show and do different models, which are revenue share models, etc. The plans are similar here as well. There are a whole bunch of people who already have the vehicles, and we want to partner with them to actually create these mobile offices, not just in this format, but in smaller formats as well, so that we can partner with these partners to put it out onto the platform and help create the demand for those partners that we have engaged with.
So do you think there are going to be enough partners with similar kind of thought processes?
So my sense is that the use of a corporate cab exists, right? It's not a new phenomenon that I will, people book cabs all the time. I do it when I travel from Delhi to Mumbai or Bangalore, etc. So our sense is that that corporate customer is also looking to be productive on the go. Okay. And the least productive time is when you get picked up from the airport and you go into your next meeting. So these kinds of formats will help make them productive even when they are, traveling within the city.
Okay. So when is it getting into big action?
So we are creating the complete roadmap for it. Come the new year, early part of February is when we want to launch it in a bigger fashion. Currently we have this format, and we are getting Innova converted into a mobile office. Mm-hmm. So once those two concepts are tested, we get some initial feedback from the customers, tweak our models a little bit, tweak the design a little bit based on customer feedback. Then the plan is to launch it fully in February.
Okay, I was coming to a smaller office, perhaps an Innova or sorts. Why an Innova? Why a smaller vehicle? I mean, who uses these?
So this kind of a vehicle is for about 8 odd people can fit into this vehicle. Obviously, the cost to operate is more expensive, and our sense is that a lot of the corporate customers today have meetings which are between 2 to 3 people. Essentially, you get picked up and you want to have a couple of meetings with your direct reports. So we feel that smaller format has much more utility, and an Innova is an obvious choice for most corporate customers. And only difference would be that it would be a fully fitted out mobile Innova where you can actually be very, very productive. So our sense is that market is much larger. There will be requirement for these kinds of formats as well when you want to have a larger meeting, etc. But our sense is that the smaller format will do much better for us.
Okay, and where is your target audience? Is it the major cities, or do you see a demand coming from beyond the cities?
So currently our sense is that these are tier 1 cities: Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, Chennai, Kolkata. I believe that the tier 2 cities will take a little bit longer for us to get into those cities.
Do you think in the future, based on this experience, you might just leverage your strength into maybe similar projects like this, like a motor home or something like that? Would you be at some time
So we
exploring
have also explored a Volvo bus, right? Because clearly, if you look at the commute times today, let's take a NCR example. You want to have an executives travel from Noida to Gurgaon, and I'm sure there are multiple executives that do that. What if you made them productive for that 4 hours of travel time? And but that would happen more in a partnership with a corporate, where it would be a very focused kind of customer. But we see that also, if you look at the driverless cars phenomenon, India will take some time, but clearly that will also come to India. And we feel that everybody talks about the technology that goes into the driverless car, but our sense is, what about the customer that's sitting at the back? Now suddenly you have all this free time. So with this, what we also do is we want to research the behavior of the customer inside these vehicles, so that we can take this format into the smallest of vehicle to the largest of vehicle, and make people productive on the go.
Mm-hmm. And all that would definitely require a lot of money to initially maybe make a single product. So like the way you made this Awfis on a Force Motors vehicle, you would be trying out other vehicles too?
So clearly there will be economies of scale, right? When I do one versus if I do 500, there will be economies of scale. Right. All the design that we do is our own IP. We have our own product design teams that are designing this, and my focus there is to continue to drive down the price. So the cost of, let's say, Innova would probably be only 20% more, including the fit out. Okay. And certainly you get a much more bigger value out of it, because the corporate customer will be willing to pay higher premium for it. So our sense is that it's a completely scalable model, and as we scale, the cost will reduce. Initial ones, yes, there will be a upfront cost because you're running pilots and such.
Okay, Amit, you're already into a business related to offices. Can you very briefly tell us what exactly is that?
So PT, currently we are essentially South Asia's largest. We currently have about 3,500 seats that are launched across Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad. We will soon add Pune, Kolkata and Chennai to the list. So the target is that by April, we will be essentially close to about 7,000 plus seats across those 7 geographies. And we want to continue to maintain that pole position and essentially, convert everybody who's in a conventional office into the new office, which is AWFIS.
When you talk of seats, what do you mean by that? I mean, how does that business work?
So the business center concept has existed for a while. There is also co-working that has started over the last 2 to 3 years. And our sense was that provide people an infrastructure that makes them most productive. So you can book, when I talk about a seat, you have seats which are inside an enclosed space or a cabin. You have an open seat, or you have a flexible seat, more of a Starbucks concept. And then you have meeting rooms, 4-seater, 6-seater, 8-seater. All this infrastructure is available to you in the center. You can book it from an hour to 11 months through a technology app. And we are probably the only one who truly make it just in time, or essentially create a Uber kind of a model for using a seat or having a meeting on the go.
Okay, so what's been your experience like? I mean, for how many hours do people book it on an average?
Sure. We currently are running at 92% occupancy across our centers, which are 1 month old to 12 months old, right? That's the blended occupancy. So the response has been tremendous. About 10% of our use is what I would call is truly just in time, so below a month, right? People book it from an hour to a day. A lot of the hourly bookings happens for the meeting rooms, not so much for the seats. The seats minimum happens is about a day. About 60% of our customers are booking it from 6 months to 11 months, and about remaining 40% are booking essentially for what I would say is between 1 to 5 months.
Okay, can you give me one example? I mean, with perhaps not naming the company, how does it benefit a person or a small office in your present setup? Can you just give me a little example?
So if you look at the SME sector, which is the bulk of our demand today, our customers come from that sector, about 60% comes from there. That has been the completely underserviced sector, and going forward, that's going to be the backbone of this country. Today, the average size of the company that works in our center is about 10 to 11 people.
Okay.
There are companies that are one-person company to company that has taken 200 plus seats with us.
Okay.
Renew Power, which is one of the largest renewable power energy companies, has taken almost 200 plus seats in our centers. And clearly, till about 200 seats, we are going to be cheaper than the conventional office.
Okay, that's quite interesting. And one last question is, do you have plans that have already been fixed for the future? I mean, do you have some kind of a target? Okay, you plan to perhaps make an X number of vehicles or sell X number of vehicles or put to use an X number of vehicles. Do you have a target before you?
Pretty clearly, our focus here is to build a scale. I mean, clearly when you have scale, you reduce the price, you obviously create a demand in infrastructure. Just like what we did in the office case, we will take this to a completely different scale. Our first year targets are still being established, so I don't want to, sort of let the cat out of the bag. But clearly, the scale will be at a scale that's never been done before.
Okay, fantastic. And you seem to be the first player in this.
We are the first player. I'm sure there will be a lot of Me Too players that will come into play, but we have the pole position in this as well.
Fantastic, Amit. Wish you the very best.
All right. Thank you, Peter.
Okay.
Right.